Our final presentation today to introduce our 2014 Golf Professional of the Year, Mr. Nelson Long.
Good afternoon. First things first, in 2006, many of us in this room were at the 2006 PGA National Awards presentation to watch Darrell Kestner accept a Senior Player of the Year award. And during his acceptance remarks, most deservingly, he thanked his wife, charming wife, Margie, a total of 16 times with the exact words, "Thank you, Margie," in 3 minutes. Well, obviously, it had an overwhelming effect on everyone in the auditorium. In fact, our good friend, the next National Award winner, John Butrick, came to the podium and got up and said, "Well, I think I better thank Margie." The next National Award winner, Tom Neoporty, our late Tom Neoporty, most beloved, came up to the podium and said, "Well, I just want to thank Margie." So first things first, I want to thank you, Margie. She's been a great asset to Darrell. She's bagging the Westchester Classic, so she's not afraid of work. Okay, Darrell, unlike that evening in Orlando where you were a forgotten man, let's try to turn the tables today and look at this 40-year career that started in one of the most unlikely places, McDowell County, West Virginia. The significance of that is it was then and is now one of the poorest counties in the United States. Only a 9-hole golf course. In fact, the epicenter of Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty program in the 1960s. So I think if we look at Darrell's career, how most of us, if we played like him, we'd sit back and that would have been it. That had been enough. But you see a constant improvement in different facets as a golf professional through this 40-year period. So if you use your imagination, let's look at a baseball diamond, and each distance between the bases represents a 10-year period, a decade. Darrell's at bat, and he's starting his career down there in McDowell County, and the likelihood of success is remote. He's 0-2 count, Koufax is pitching, so he's got to acquire a skill, and so he learned to play golf, and we know how that came out. In fact, John Kennedy told me this winter, he said, "I worked with Darrell in Florida, we're assistants. We shot 75s. He said he calls me up, comes to New York, he's playing the tournament at Bethpage. He gets home, what'd you shoot? 65. What happened? Maybe Darrell will tell us a little later. So now he's on first base, that first decade. To get to second base, he acquires a national teaching reputation. It shifts him over to second base. Now, for that next decade, we see a mentor evolve. Many great assistants have gone through Deepdale, but if we just take 3 that have gone on to national prominence, Michael Breed, of course, in teaching, Matt Dobbins, National Club professional champion, and Dwight Segal, tailor-made industry executive, head of the green grass operations, all in different areas. So now he's standing on third base in this 40-year career, about to slide into home base at some time, and we see the PGA come to him, and he is very welcome to be a presenter and or an organizer in many events. So the culmination of this 40-year career would be that he would conduct himself performing these main functions with style, grace, character, integrity, and humility that you, the Met PGA, would expect of this award winner. So it therefore gives me a great privilege to present to you a native of McDowell County, West Virginia, a humble man from a humble place, your 2014 Metropolitan PGA Professional of the Year, Darrell Kestner.
Thank you, Uncle Nell. Wow, 40 years ago. It seemed, I have to say, it seemed like yesterday when I was right up there attending my very first educational forum here in the med section. It was actually 35 years ago. It seemed like it was yesterday. But I have to say, I always enjoyed these. I always learned something from the presenters and the award winners, hearing something about their past or whatever. But I kind of remember at that young age, I'm looking at who, the Professional of the Year, and I was thinking, well, that guy is pretty old. He must be retiring. Let me get my resume in order. Where is he working again? But now that I'm here, I'm not over the hill just yet. I got a few more rounds in me. But I have to, I was thinking about what to say. I didn't quite, and so I did call Uncle Nell, and he's my go-to mentor on, whether it's financial, whether it's the job or the golf game or personal or whatever. So I said, Nell, what does everybody want to? What should I say? He said, well, you can make it short and sweet, say thank you and get off, or you can maybe talk about what John Kennedy asked me one time. And I said, what's that? He said, y'all are like 75 shooters working together down in Florida in the winters, and then you come up here and you start winning everything. John Kennedy says, what the heck happened to him? And so I'd like to maybe tell you just a few stories about my journey along the way, because at the end of the day, it's not kind of at the end of being up here and having these awards and winning the awards. It's actually those travels that kind of got you here that really, when me up here looking back, I enjoy the most, looking at these things. So I worked in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, year-round, and I remember all the Met Section golf pros coming down there and playing the Millie Mix Tour and the J.C. Goosey Tour, things like that when I was a young assistant. And I always kind of admired, the pros coming down, and I hear about all the good jobs, the good golf courses, the good tournaments. And I said, I got to get up in that section someday. But me just, not quite, just a little too green coming out of West Virginia at that point, I needed to season myself a little bit. And so, working as an assistant pro, like all assistants back then in the late 70s, it's $200 a week or whatever. I needed a little extra money to pay for these entry fees, because when I did get in a tournament, I didn't win money. So I worked as a night watchman at the golf course that I worked at Sugar Mill Country Club. It was kind of out in the woods a little bit, to stop vandalism, people riding around on the golf course or this or that. So turned out I was the one with the truck on the golf course at night. But what I would do is I would pull the pickup and pull it up to the putting green at the golf course, and I would putt all night. For about 3 or 4 nights a week that I worked, I'd putt all night. And I said, what a great country. They're paying me to practice. This is fabulous. So that old saying about, are good putters born or are they made? I really think they are made. They're not really born. All good putters have done their homework at some point to get that, and either get the knowledge or get the feel or get the touch, right? So that was one little story. And then, being in North Florida, it's in the winter, it's pretty cold and rainy, and Mo Norman, he would hang out there a lot, and we became friends. And he would, anytime it was too cold to hit balls or too rainy, he would come in and we would talk and he would tell me stories. Then we became really good friends. We got to playing a good bit together, and I would go out to the airport to watch him hit balls, and we'd hit balls together. I'd watch him. He really wouldn't watch me. And then, he always said, Darrell, he said, be sure when you're teaching, it's not to be a method teacher. If you're a method teacher, you're only teaching a few people. He said, be able to teach the masses. Then after he passed away, they're teaching the Mo Norman method. So I don't think he would have liked that. But he told me, he said, 8 inches, Darrell. Just think about the 8 inches. I said, what? And he said, 4 inches before, 4 inches after. 4 inches before, 4 inches after. That's what he would say. And he said, that's right through impact. That's all that matters. Get that right. And so I wanted to share, a lot of these stories, maybe the older guys have probably heard a lot of these stories over the years, but a lot of y'all in here aren't even 35 years old when I attended my first meeting. So I think you might like some of these stories. And then but I have to say, one of my favorite stories that was most revealing to me of all time in my career, it was 1983. I was on the tour. I had my tour card twice. I was lucky enough to get through the tour school. I had a really, really hot putter. I can play really well for 1 week, but keeping a card, there's no chance. So I got my card, and I was an alternate to get in the Westchester Classic here at the Westchester Classic here at Westchester Country Club, and I was an alternate to get in. Someone pulls out, and I get paired with Seve Ballesteros, who is #1 in the world at the time and just won the Masters, and also with Peter Jacobsen, who won the Bob Hope and was #1 on the money list. So we get paired together, and we go out to play. I was very, very nervous, but Seve drove the first green and just played a flawless round. I mean, it was towering straight drives, crisp irons, unbelievable short game putting. Shot 65 that day. Jacobsen shot 66. I shot 75. It really didn't play that badly. And then, so I walked off. I said, "Wow, that's unbelievable. To be able, if that's how good you have to hit the ball to win golf tournaments, it's not humanly possible to play that well." For me, to hit the ball that well and to win. But the very next day, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. He duck hooks it off the first tee. He kind of blocks a drive on the next one, kind of thins some iron shots, this or that. He hit 6 greens in regulation. He holed a bunker shot, holed a chip shot, and shot 68 that day. I hit 17 greens that day and shot 71. And then he went on to win the golf tournament. And that just proved to me that even the greatest players in the world do not play their best all the time, but they get the job done when they have to. And so that was a very eye-opener to me, and then that's where I said, you know what, maybe I need to work on my teaching aspect. That was a really good eye-opener, and then I enjoyed, like many of your assistants, and we all start out this way. Every one of us start out wanting to win the U.S. Open and wanting to win the Masters, and when we were kids, putting on the putting green for a 6-footer to win. I had that, always had that attitude about a competition, trying to play competition. So, we would, just looking around this room, seeing. McDougal, Diffley, just to everybody, Bobby. We would all play on Mondays and play competition. I would go in the winter. We'd go down to the PGA tournaments in the fall and play down in Florida. I went to South Africa in '84, played the Sunshine Tour where I met my best friend Rick Hartman there. And just really, really enjoyed competition. So I've always kind of had that. But one story about just kind of some competition. It was 1984. I was working for George Lewis at the time. It was the TPS tour. It was the web.com at that time. And we go play the Charlie Pride Golf Classic. And George Lewis said, "Hey, you just won the pro member at Glen Oaks. You have an extra $1,000 to get out there. Go for it." And I said, okay. And so we go out there to play. And Rick can verify this. We play a practice round on Tuesday. I think I shot about 90. It was horrendous. My caddy didn't even show up the next day to play the tournament. It was so bad. But that was on Tuesday. So Wednesday, we couldn't play the course because of Pro-Am or something like that. So I go to the driving range, and I see my buddy John Mahaffey. Not John Mahaffey, John Chafee. And so I say, hey, Jake, how you doing? You look like you're swinging pretty well. And what are you working on? He said, well, I just had this Chuck Cook lesson. And I said, oh, yeah, what did he tell you? He said, oh, you just take it over here, you point the grip at the ball around this side, and then you do it over on this side. I said, okay. So I went and hit balls till dark doing that, and then went out and won the golf tournament the next day. That caddy was so bad he didn't show up. I got a kid out of the yard. He loved it. I paid his whole summer vacation, but that was good. So in this game, you never do know. But now, knowing that, okay, I'm not going to play the tour or whatever, but I try to work on my teaching aspect a bit. And, this day and age, we have the PGM interns and YouTube. By the time you're 22, they know everything about the golf swing that I know, that we know, with all the TrackMans and Sam Putt Labs and this and that, and watching Sasha on YouTube. They know everything about this. So our age, our YouTube was going around and seeing Mike Hebron, Jimmy Ballard, Eddie Marins, Jim Flick, Harvey Penny, Carl Welty, David Ledbetter, Pels, McLean, Glenn's, Borick, Gardner Dickinson, a Chuck Cook over here, Mac O'Grady, and that's just the old guys that I kind of worked with, not even counting the young guys. But anyway, that's what I'm saying, that you may know the swing as good as anyone, but the hands-on work with learning how to work your craft and your trade on becoming a better communicator, teacher, seeing the ball flight, that goes a long way also. I know Jeff has heard that story about this turtle on the fence post that he didn't get there on his own. Jeff said, please don't tell that story again. I said, I won't put the West Virginia version on it. But I do have a few people to thank. And I want to thank the head pros that I've worked for over the years that helped kind of mold me into the professional I am. And that is Vic Sarl, Dave Alvarez, George Lewis, Bob Watson, Tom Neoporti, Bill Greenleaf, Jim McLean, and Uncle Nelson Long. Rick Meskel said I couldn't keep a job. But I have to say, they taught me, very, very important things. Vic Sorrell started me in my career. Dave Alvarez taught me how to hit that low 5-iron into the wind on Fisher's Island. George Lewis, he said, get out on those on that practice green, putting green, work hard on improving your game. Bob Watson, what a great salesman he was. He taught me that. Tom Neoporti, kindness and how to handle success. Bill Greenleaf on basically on how to get a job, how to interview. McLean, taught me when I worked at the Darrell for McLean in the winters. He taught me that teaching is a business and treat it and be excited about it. And Nelson Long, he's like a brother to me, even though he is my uncle through marriage. But he taught me how to treat everyone. And how everyone wants to be treated, it needs to be treated, and that's what whether it's someone that's working for you in the bag room, or a member, or a guest, or whatever. You can go a long way just treating people nicely. And then I know there's too many people that made me look good, but the interns, my assistant pros, the shop help over the years. But I do want to thank and acknowledge the ones that have gone on to be head professionals, and that's Jeff Stevens, Brendan Riley, Mike Stevenson, Jim Morris, Dwight Segal, Kirk Satterfield, Michael Breed, Matt Dobbins, Jeff Geschwin. I feel part of this award is being able to pass it on, to pay it forward, and I'm really proud of them becoming head professionals also. But in ending, I want to thank Charlie Robson. He's been a dear friend for all 35 years. giving me guidance, giving me help, and just have my back at everything, and giving you questions, answers on employment or anything. And he's just been a dear, great friend. He had really, really good guidance on me when I took the job at Deepdale 27 years ago. He said, Darrell, really, really great place. He said, you go there and work 4 or 5 years and kind of move on to something better. Yeah. So, Charlie, thanks for that advice. Really, really spot on there. Nelson Long, like I said, he's like a brother to me, but I do have to thank you for one of the best things you ever did is talking me into calling Margie and asking her out, even though she did say no the first time. I do have to thank Deepdale. Deepdale has given me an avenue for me to be a better professional, not only just the club, but the membership. And it's a really, really special place. I know everyone here, that's wherever they are, they think their place is special, and that's just the way I feel. That I wouldn't be there for 27 years if I didn't think it was a special place or know that it is a special place, and with a very unique membership. And then last but not least, I gotta thank my wife Margie. This is the hard part, but my Bashir, my soulmate, my love, my wife, even my caddy. I had her caddy for a couple of years before she realized she gets 50% whether she carried the bag or not. But a little bit of a slow learner. But no, I think everyone in this room really actually knows that I would not be here winning these awards, or actually won the Player of the Year awards, or this or that, or whatever, club or whatever. I wouldn't even know I wouldn't remember to enter the tournaments, let alone without her. So I do have to thank you, because I know everyone in this room, and me especially, knows that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. But in going and leaving to take something with you, I got to tell you one little story about 20 years ago. Erwin Kramer, the president of Deepdale, who hired me, after about 6 or 7 years working there, he said, Darrell, I got to tell you something. I go, what's that, Mr. Kramer? He said, I've been watching you over the years and everything, and I got to say that what amazes me about you is that you treat me just like everybody else in the club. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you treat the prince like the pauper. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a guest, the president of the club, a junior or whatever. You treat everybody the same. And I kind of looking back at it, I didn't even realize I did that, but maybe I learned that from Nelson Long. Maybe I learned that from my mother, whatever. But in this business, we're very, very lucky to be in a business like this, and it's a pleasure to be able to go play golf and enjoy this great game, because it is a great game. And I thank you for this award very much. Thank you.
I do truly have to agree with Darrell paying it forward. Back when I was in Atlantic working for Rick, he spent many a time with me correcting everything that Rick taught me and teaching me the right way. So that was a good thing. But just to read what this award truly stands for, recognizing the total contributions to the game that best exemplifies the complete PGA professional. I don't think we could have a better example of the complete PGA professional, Mr. Darrell Kestner.